two ways, but the style that Killzoe was going for, he intentionally delayed his upgrades in favor of a higher tank count, where you prioritize your production, you prioritize your army instead into later upgrades. There are different variations of mech where you actually go for earlier armories. You go for like a double armory, like 1-1 timing instead, a much more decisive style, which we do see a little bit more prevalent in TVZ, for example. I want to say that Jumy does that from time to time. But that was intentional. It was intentional. And here we go. We're getting into our next series. We're getting into our first and only Zurich matchup here of the night. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Frostline, we have the German Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Streamer Zone. It is Jumy. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player representing Basilisk. It is Serral. Again, coming into this, Serral is the heavy favorite, but Jumy has the home field advantage. You know, he has no excuse when it comes to jet lag or anything like that. Jumy, he just jumped on his bike, rode over, and has arrived here, and he's ready for some HomeStory Cup action. Let's go, Papi, let's go. Likewise, Jumy's typically very aggressive. He's very unorthodox in this matchup as well. I mean, hey, we saw that in the best of 9. Jumy, he's very quick to embrace these earlier Twilight Councils, earlier robo-based builds, just more aggressive and more unorthodox styles. But we'll see what he goes for here on Frostline, because Frostline is one of the larger maps in the map. It is a much larger map, much more difficult to be aggressive early on 2 bases, so I would expect to see a more standard opener here out of Jumy. I'm assuming Cybercore into Stargate, into Oracle, into a 3rd base. If Jumy does deviate, then we will point it out, and we'll make a little noise, as we always do. Meanwhile, from the side of Serral, just going to be going into his own opener himself, Hatch Gas Pool, droning on up, saturating his natural, getting to his 3rd base. We often see a lot of Protoss players struggle to defend their 4th base on this map, just because of how isolated they are from each other, referring to the 3rd and the 4th, so we have seen a lot of aggressive play in the mid-game from the Zerg side of things, with a lot of success as well. A lot of success. For now, Jumy going to be opening up with the Stargate. Stargate opener in the main, which is what we expected, but we'll see if he does throw down earlier tech. He has the option here as he expands to throw down an earlier Twilight Council to go into Glaive Adepts, to go for an early Twilight Council into like a 3-base 8-gate Blink Stalker all in, to even throw down a Fleet Beacon into Sky Toss. He has options, if you want to be crazy. So far, so good. So just scouting for proxies, don't blame him. Meanwhile, already a deviation, it's going to be a Void Ray opener, not Oracle. Okay, you have my attention. Now, I'm a little bit torn about this decision. Typically, when you open Void Ray, you keep the starports or the Stargates further back. You keep it further back to make it more difficult to scout the follow-up. Here, it's right at the edge of the main, so it can be a little bit more difficult to hide the follow-up tech, to hide whether or not you are going for, you know, an additional Void Ray or into faster Sky Toss. We'll see how Jumy does follow this up, as he's hunting down the first Overlord, but there's a second Overlord going into the main. As Jumy, he is still looking for the Overlords. We'll come across one. Void Ray is revealed. Jumy will expand. Ooh, and that is a Twilight Council before the 3rd. So very early Twilight Council out of Jumy. I would imagine this should be Glaive Adepts, should be Glaives, but there are some other niche builds that we could go for instead. Technically, this could be something crazy like a fast Robo into like Temple Archives, into Archons, but this should be Glaives here from Jumy. Second Overlord goes down. The other option this could be is to go into faster blink into a very Blink Stalker aggressive build, but here comes the Gateway Explosion. And we'll see what Jumy's got for us. Back at home, Serral droning. Save the Roachhorn. Oh, and this is what I mean about out of Jumy here. A very niche build going to a charge base all in, not Glaives. Something you do not see very often, as that's a massive Gateway Explosion. Getting up to 6, getting up to 8 gates. Basically, this 3rd is a fake out. It's basically a fake 3rd. Serral scouts. He will punish the Adept. Gets us around. Adept goes down. Void Ray out of position. Uh-oh. And again, thankfully, Serral, he isn't cutting too many corners. Will soon have access here to his own roach production. Void Ray races back home. Third base does survive. Charges on the way. It's going to be all or nothing for Jumy. Just mass charge lot. Oracle's trying to keep Serral busy. Oh, the Oracle does go down. Massive pickup. Serral, if he goes in, if he sees the lack of saturation, that's a tell. I'm sure he did notice. I'm sure he got a glimpse. 0 probes here at the third. Just now going to be saturating. Zealots are building up. And Jumy, he's moving out. Here we go. Just warping in as many Zealots as he can. Behind this, Serral going into Muta play. Bold move out of Serral. As Jumy moves out, Serral, I mean, he just confirms the all-in by sniping all these probes. I mean, there were barely any workers to begin with. And one way or another, the game is about to end. Either Jumy kills Serral or he dies trying. Warping in 8 Zealots at a time. And here comes the mass Zealot. The Swarm. Peels off towards the third base. Likewise engaging with the main army. Some clutch transfuse. Queens are going down. And Zealots, they do back off. They do reinforce. And Jumy, he's breaking through. He's getting on top of the roaches. Roaches are going down. And can he get into the mineral line? Boys being pulled away. Void Ray does fall. And the longer this goes on, the better it is for Serral. Roaches are falling, but there's 9 more roaches in production. And we need more Zealots. Meanwhile, the third base was killed. The third base did go down. Boys are being pulled. And Serral, he's barely holding on. May have lost all of his queens. But the roaches have built up. Serral, he still has the kite. We do see some of those roaches being overwhelmed. Jumy, he's trading well, but he needs more. He needs more damage. He has to kill Serral. So far, he's killed 11 drones. Not bad. But he's running out of steam. Yeah, he's running out of Zealots. 4 Zealots left. It barely is not enough. Jumy going for the... Let's go! Going for the force field. Does lock the army into the main. Catches a queen. Has another force field. But there are reinforcements coming in. And again, Jumy just doesn't have enough. Cute move, though. I appreciate it. Sentries go down. No more force fields. And Serral, he breaks out. He does break out. GG gets called. And Serral takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. But shout out to Jumy again to go for an unorthodox 2-base all-in. Again, basically was a fake third, but Serral was able to confirm. If you remember, Serral, he threw down his Roach Warren at the 420 mark, 425-ish. So a bit of a earlier, safer Roach Warren timing out of Serral. Again, recognizes something was a little bit wrong, something was amiss. Playing it safe. And even though Serral, even though he was losing queens, even though he was losing an army, again, time was on his side. All you had to do was just slow down the push, just buy more time for more warp-ins or more morphs of roaches, more waves, and did eventually survive. GG. GG, well played. And that takes us into game number 2. Gonna be loading into ley lines. Here we go. Getting into our next game. GG, Jumy, I respect it. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, again, Jumy, he was trading well. He was trading well for himself. Just barely didn't have enough. Catching out a lot of queens, a lot of roaches. He got 11 drones. It was good damage, but he was all in, right? Like, he needed to do more. And here we go. We're getting into our next game. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of ley lines, we have the German Protoss player representing Streamer Zone. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back. It is Jumy. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the Finnish Zerg player representing Basilisk. It is Serral. Here we go. And again, when it comes to, I mean, Serral is the heavy favorite, so going for these kind of more unorthodox all-ins from the side of Jumy makes sense, right? Like, there's very few players out there that can, with confidence, go into a macro game or a standard game against Serral. So Jumy, he's fully aware of that. His goal here, his hope, is to try to catch Serral off guard. Now, in game 1, we did have that 2-base all-in. Here, coming into game 2, the question becomes, does Jumy try something more unorthodox once again? Does he go for another cheese? Does he go for another all-in? Or, after game 1, is it out of his system, and does he attempt to get into a more standard macro game against Serral? We'll see. We shall see. For now, Hatch Gas Pool, standard open out of Serral. Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. And really, our eyes are going to be on the tech of choice from Jumy. Now, after game 1, I would not be opposed to Jumy opening up Stargate into Void Ray once again, but having a different follow-up. Void Ray openers, they can go a lot of different ways. They can go the way of Sky Toss, into a Fleet Beacon, into Tempest Rush. They can lead into Glaive Depths, into an economic game, into a 3rd base. They can lead into early Blink, into a 3-base all-in. They can go into even Mass Phoenix even, which is more of a niche build as well. But I mean, Mass Phoenix into Charge Ult's also an option. We'll see. Once again, the pylon gets thrown down right at the edge of the main, so it should be another Stargate opener. Typically, if you want a high tech, this is not the place for it. If it was like a Twilight Council opener, usually you'd hide it further back behind the main or behind the natural, so it should be the initial Stargate here from Jumy. And there it is. But what initial unit is it going to be? Oracle, Phoenix, or Void Ray? They all have their place. Some more standard than others, of course. But I'm not opposed to Jumy even just opening up Void Ray, even if he does intend to go for a standard game, just to at least shroud himself in a bit of uncertainty, and at least, you know, give Serral a second to pause and play safe. But now Serral poking in with the Overlord. Likewise, Serral is scouting for proxies, checks the northern and southern locations, making sure there's nothing crazy going on. Once again, Void Ray. I do like this. So once again, it's going to be another Void Ray opener, and just because it's a Void Ray does not mean it's going to be the same build. And ideally, this keeps Serral in the dark. Now, upon losing this first Overlord, Serral should once again go for an early Roach Warren, just because he doesn't really know what's going on, just to play safe. And we'll see what that leads into. Shroud of Ambiguity, that's what I was going for. Not uncertainty. Yeah, you get what I mean. As Jumy is setting up for his 3rd expansion. Overlord goes down once again. Once again, that was a Twilight Council before the 3rd base. So this looks like the same builds, I'll be honest. So far, it does look very similar. Ooh, that is going to be an earlier Robo, though. Interesting. Now, as a reminder, last game, this led into a 2-base all-in with 8 gateways, with a lack of gases at the natural. This time, I'm leaning towards a lower gateway count into Glaive Depths. I'm leaning towards that. Meanwhile, that's Overlord speed on the way. Interesting. Now, if this was a standard game, I would assume this was for a German taxi, for like a queen all-in across the map, but based on the game state, this could just be for scouting information. It could just be scouting from Serral. As, I mean, he has no lair, right? There is no lair. Early Roach Warren, 4-minute 30 Roach Warren timing, early Overlord speed, and this is just the scouts. I mean, he has no lair, so he can't morph in drop lords to begin with. It's the same build. It is the same build. Let's go. It's going to be another 8-gate all-in. Jumy. I mean, what are the odds, right? Like, Serral, I'm sure he's thinking, there's no way he does the same all-in 2 games in a row, right? No. He'd have to be crazy to do that. Well, he is crazy. Let's go. So it's going to be the same, essentially 2-base 8-gate all-in here. Mass Charge Lot out of Jumy. Serral is investing in other resources. You can see here Spores are on the way, just in case his DTs, just in case his Dark Templar. I mean, the Oracle is out. Was a later Roach Warren. Overlord speed, and with Overlord speed, Serral scouts. He confirms. He gets eyes on the tech. He gets eyes on the move out. Serral is aware of what's going on, but he did have to spend resources on Overlord speed and less on Roaches, and he's getting ready. Spine Crawlers on the way. This time his Roach production is delayed, so it makes sense. Spine Crawlers are going to be necessary this time. I'm loving the SimCity here, walling off those Spine Crawlers. Zealots are going to have a hard time getting surrounded. And here they come. Jumy pushing in. Serral kiting back, massing out more roaches. Spine crawlers are almost done. One queen gets surrounded. Stasis gets baited out. And Jumy's going to try to dive on the army. So far, Serral does focus on the Void Ray. Void Ray does fall. Lings, they race back home. But this time, Jumy, he has a better economy. He's got 6 workers here at the third. So Jumy has more resources to warp in. Jumping into the main. Depth Shades into the main base as well. But Jumy, he's banking. He's got 900 minerals. He has to spend his money. Where are the warp-ins? He's making probes. He's making workers back at home. A warp-in back at home as well. And Serral defense. Oh, Jumy throwing down pylons. Make sure he doesn't get supply blocked. But Serral, he has defended. He has deflected. And Jumy has to make a choice here. Does he try to macro out of this? I mean, he's not really set up for a longer game, I'll be honest. Okay, still working in more zealots. Okay, so right now, Jumy, he's still completely all in. He just got scattered, by the way. There was a spotted Ling. He's still all in. He's hoping that Serral over drones. He's hoping that Serral feels safe enough to drone, and then Jumy can come in for the kill. Alas, Serral, he did drone up to 64. That is 3 base saturation. But Serral is still focusing on roach production. He deflects the War Prism. Reinforcements are delayed. Jumy still being active. And Jumy, he's headed towards the 4th. Now, but Serral's in position. And Jumy's just being outscaled at this point. He's just being outscaled. The game is lasting too long. I mean, I appreciate Jumy trying to catch him out. Nice force fields. But the warp-in is denied. And Serral breaks through. GG gets called as Jumy. He runs out of steam. There's nothing left. And Serral will take the series 2-0. GG. GG. Serral will take it, but a shout out to Jumy here. Again, I appreciate the thought process behind the build here. It was pretty close in game 1, but doing the same build 2 games in a row is a very crazy thing to do. Again, the hope there for Jumy was that Serral would be too greedy, right? Was that Serral would believe that it would be a much more macro-oriented build instead, that Serral would over-drone, that he would take a 4th base, and Serral would be caught out being too greedy. Alas, that was not the case. Serral was playing it very safe, and more importantly, because of that because of the Overlord Scout with Overlord Speed, he confirmed. He confirmed what was happening, threw down the Spine Crawlers, built up more roaches. Serral was perfectly safe and sound. Very well set up back at home. GG. GG, well played. Jumy just trying to mind game Serral, and again, I appreciate the mind games, but alas, did not quite work out in the end, and Serral will claim the series. Will claim it in the end. Congratulations. And again, Serral, he was favored coming into this, but a shout out to Jumy here for trying to trip him up. I appreciate it. And with that, that is going to be us wrapping up for the morning. Let's go. Let us go, as we just wrapped up our final series of the night. 5 best of 3s. 5 best of 3s here for Group B. We had Maru versus Moja, Showtime and Geralt, Showtime and Moja, Spirit and Kelzer, and Serral versus Jumy. Some really intense games. I mean, especially Showtime versus Geralt to me was one of the highlights here. Kelzer versus Spirit, I can see that going either way. Moja versus Showtime was very entertaining as well. I will say that Maru, Moja, and Serral Jumy were a little bit more one-sided in their matches, but a lot of these others could have gone either way. GG. GG, well played. Do recommend checking out the VODs if you do have time. And just to reiterate once again, this is us going over some of the matches that were never broadcasted. For those that are curious, HomeStory Cup was at the start of December. We were live at the time. We were the B stream for HomeStory Cup alongside the main stream, but there were a lot of matches in the group stage that never got casted, or at least never got casted in English, just because there were only 2 streams going on and there were 3 matches happening at once. So do the math, right? So around a third of the matches, were not broadcasted, so we're catching up on those matches here and now. Ideally, I would have liked to have done these replay casts in December, earlier, closer to the event itself, but our schedule was too busy. December, we were jam-packed, full of StarCraft. There was just no room for anything else. We had a lot of casting in December. Here in January is similar, but we had a couple of free days. Like yesterday. Yesterday, we covered Group A. Yesterday, January 1st, we had no other casting, so, you know, prime slot for a replay cast this morning as well. But tonight, we have a live broadcast or live matches. Tonight, we're going to be back with the League Cup. What exactly is that? We do have another big major event going on. There is a $7,000 prize pool, $7,000 prize pool for an end-of-year event for the League Cup, and qualifiers are going on this week. We just had the Asia qualifier a couple of days ago. I think it was over the weekend. We had the Asia qualifier, and we had Solar, Shin, and Gumiho. Solar, Shin, and Gumiho, they qualified for the main event. Tonight is going to be the European/American qualifier. So our eyes are going to be on those big names. There were some invites as well. Actually, you know what? I can just show you. We have the technology. Hold on. It's crazy, I know. Oh my god. Hold on. We have the technology here to go over the event. Bam, there we go. Okay, so we have the League Cup, or League Cup even, that is going on, and these are the invited players. We have Hero, Jeshi, and Max for Protoss. We have Clem and Oliveira, and now Gumiho, as he made it through the qualifier for Terran. And we have our Zerg players Dark, Raynor, Rogue, Serral, Shin, and Solar for Zerg. And we still have 2 more qualifiers. We have the European/Americas region qualifier, where 3 players will make it through, and then we have the global qualifier as well, where 1 player will make it through. So tonight, in how many hours time? In around 9? Yeah, in 9 hours time, we're going to be live on this channel with the EU/NA qualifier, and in a couple of days is going to be the global qualifier. So we have 2 qualifiers left for this event, and again, tonight is EU/NA. 9 hours. Mark your calendars, set your alarms. 9 hours time, we're going to be live here. 3 players make it through, so it's going to be a bit of a longer event. There is going to be a bronze match for that final qualifying spot, and we're going to be keeping our eye on those big names, on those big players. We're expecting players like Estrella, Trigger, Showtime, Big Gabe, Lambo, Spirit, a Laser, and many others. They're all going to be facing off here in this qualifier. Best of luck to all those players, and we'll be here live on the channel. And again, we'll be here for the global qualifier as well, and we'll be casting the main event that is going to be taking place, I believe, next week. I believe next week is going to be the main event. So quite a busy month for us, covering League Cup and also Masters Coliseum, and also all of the regular events as well. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft is coming up. It's coming up this month. Oh boy. It's again, it's busy January for us. February, at least currently, February looks a little bit lighter. I mean, typically, if I remember correctly, February is usually IM, right? Like IM Katowice is like February into March, sort of like time period. But, you know, currently we're still waiting for announcements, waiting to hear what is going to be happening with StarCraft, with EWC. It would be really, I'll be honest, it'd be really weird to have an IEM Katowice without StarCraft. I mean, it's been a part of the event for so long. So, we all expect an announcement this month. I think we're all expecting an announcement here in January, but we'll see. We'll see when that announcement does occur, as we're nearing up on IM Katowice, you know? So we're going to need something soon. we're going to need an announcement soon, Pat. Yeah. Should see one. Just catching up in the chat. Classic for you, my time, as usual. Watch. Yeah, it's a rough time for the Americas region, for sure. It is a rough time. So yeah, we do expect an announcement momentarily. I was fortunate enough to be a part of IM Katowice last year. Was fortunate enough to be there. When was it? IM Katowice last year was the 8th of January. From the 8th of January to the 11th. Sorry, 8th of February. My mistake. 8th of February to the 11th of February. So early Feb. So again, we're kind of nearing up on that. We're nearing up on that, baby. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to IEM, when it comes to Katowice. Otherwise, hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Hope you all had a great time. Hope you all were able to enjoy the StarCraft. And again, we're going to be back here in 9 hours. Hope you all have a great new year as well. Hope you all have a great new year. Take care of yourselves. And yeah, if you want to help support the CranKy Ducklings, you can do so. You can follow us on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. All things CranKy Ducklings. If you want to follow us, you can see the links in the chat. So you can follow us if you wish. You can also support us via Patreon as well. We do have our own Patreon page, and we do have, of course, ways to support us. All the money that we make on Patreon goes towards our tournaments. It goes towards Sparkling Tuna Cup, Sea Duckling Open, and Masters One Open as well. So here we go. So we have, so you can support us there if you wish. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. I'm going to be heading off for now. This broadcast was a little bit shorter, so you know what? It's time to smudge. It's time to smudge. I'm going to sleep before the cast tonight, but I have a couple of hours to myself, so I'm going to be going live. Going to be going live on my own personal channel. It's time to ladder for a couple of hours. It's time to smudge. It's time to smudge. I'm very rusty, but may as well enjoy some StarCraft, enjoy some laddering. So if you want to tune in, you can of course join me over on light_VIP on Twitch. I'm going to be live there laddering for a couple of hours. Otherwise, we bid you adieu. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.